Greetings, everyone. Here we are with another little quick overview / review video. I should probably add the review tag into the thumbnail, but I'm probably not going to spend that time on doing it actually post because I've actually used these things quite a bit more. So this is the original Dungeons & Dragons 2014 Dungeon Master screen. This is before the reincarnated one. This one was not liked very much by most people because it was missing various pieces of information that a lot of Dungeon Masters stated they wanted on a Game Master screen, which I strongly agree with. However, this screen is not complete garbage. It actually still contains some really useful information for any Dungeon Master early on, or most Dungeon Masters. So if you happen to have the option of picking this up dirt cheap, as well as the reincarnated one if you're still running Dungeons & Dragons 2014 version, this one is actually still pretty good. It's not the greatest, though, but it does help. Oftentimes this sells on Amazon for $50 now because it actually is somewhat rare. The dragon is a red dragon on the cover. I do not know the exact name of this red dragon. I know he is an important red dragon to Dungeons & Dragons lore. My friend Cole probably knows what his name is because my friend Cole happens to be more into novels, was in the D&D setting than I am. I was a bigger fan when growing up was the simple lore and monsters. So, which, interestingly enough, my history with Dungeons & Dragons is interesting because it didn't go from immediately getting everything and then playing the game, but being a sequence of becoming interested in it through various other side avenues, such as getting into it with the cartoon back in the 1980s, and then running into the various books for Dungeons & Dragons Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition and early 3rd Edition, and reading through a bunch of that stuff and being really interested with the lore and the bestiary stuff, and then phases of like going from being a fan of the cartoon and the video games to also being a fan of the lore and bestiary to eventually finding a means of actually getting into a situation where I can actually play Dungeons & Dragons with other people on a regular. So there you go. Small little bit. But anyways, there's this Game Master screen. This is actually a fairly thick protective cover sheet for the Dungeon Master screen. It happens to have a advertisement inside of it for the Adventurers League. I do believe the reincarnated version didn't have this. So there we go. So we got more of the big dragon on the cover. Wings spread. We have some kobolds here, particularly red kobolds. And then we go over this way and we have the party charging up with other red kobolds right behind them. This is actually a fairly decent action scene with the whole party forming up and rushing up on the dragon. Not a very good idea on a dragon or a red dragon, but hey, you have to get in range and to hit him with your big axe and your hammer. So you are kind of forced into that situation as well as hitting him with your dagger. So it is a fairly nice scene overall. Please note that these characters, I don't ever remember seeing them really in the Player's Handbook or the Dungeon Master's Guide at any point. So it's really interesting that this actually has unique characters and unique artwork. He might have reappeared in either the Player's Handbook or the Dungeon Master's Guide, and then there's a similar character to her, the Sorcerer or the Spellcaster in the Player's Handbook, but they're not exactly the same. So a part of me says this was produced not exactly in the same time frame, and the same time frame as the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide, but was not coordinated terribly well between the two. Now, here's the first major difference between this and the reincarnated and all other Dungeon Master screens that came after this is that the first section on the left does not have the conditions section. It actually has NPC characteristics, NPC ideals table, NPC bonds, NPC flaws, and name generator right here. So this is one of those things that people over the many years of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition have complained that they don't have a quick access means into doing things like this. Well, the original Dungeon Master screen actually had that stuff in it. So instead of having the conditions over here, big box in the two panels, half a panel and this panel over here, they moved it, they have it over here around the next two panels. And now you notice that there's a difference in this one. Unlike the the later version, the Dungeon Master screen reincarnated, and the Dungeon Master and all the other Dungeon Master screens after that, these panel sections right here were all one big box section. It's all the same basic information, but it's instead on this one it's actually broken up into 3 individual panels in the screen, with the artwork going around it. And that's actually rather nice. It actually makes it easier to quickly spot out the condition section. My only change would have been taking this header right here that says conditions and making it bigger, like way bigger, and having the word condition as bold as possible across the top, and go the whole length of the top of these 3 panels right here. That way it would have jumped out at you way more easily. So there you go. Still pretty nice. Really nice artwork that's included. This one actually, there's actually a few interesting differences in this one. Unlike the breakable DCs for various objects and items on this Dungeon Master screen, it just has the cover over observed area, rules, light rules, skills and associated checks, and setting a DC, travel pace, encounter distance, damage level and severity, and just something happens, random table, like you want a roll for a random event that occurs, boom, right there. And then we have a quick finds table right here that you can quickly roll out a few treasure items, such as artwork, body's not really treasure, quick finds, food and drink, jewelry, key, letter, magic herbs, map, monster parts, secret message, signet or an insignia, or a tome. Now, some of this stuff right over here is also included in the reincarnated screen, but however, other things are not, such as the random event table as well as the quick finds table. This screen it's nice to have those, but the reincarnated version is still way better than this one overall. So if you have money to spare and you want to still buy this screen and you have the reincarnated, sure, this is going to be useful for some things, but not a whole lot of other stuff, and it still overlaps somewhat with the reincarnated screen for mechanics and rules. So there you go. Overall, I think I gave the original screen a 3.75. This is like a 3-star right here. It's barely 3-star. Okay. The information on this is good, so it's not in the 1-star or the 2-star territory. There's still very usable stuff on this screen, depending on what you need as a game master or dungeon master. So it's basically just at the 3-star point. There's still value in this. If you happen to come across this for $19.95 or less than $20, it's a good buy to add to your collection. Once you get to the $20, $30 range, once you get to the $40+ range, you're better off just sticking with the reincarnated screen, unless you truly want to have this specific screen right here to add to your wall of screens. And that is an option you can do. You can take the reincarnated screen. You can set the reincarnated screen out on one side, and you can take this one and you can set it on the other side. And you effectively have an 8-panel screen blocking up a corner of the table for you. So, and you could put all kinds of crazy minis and book notes behind that and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, I do not recommend this screen. If I think I might have said I might recommend the screen earlier a few seconds ago, but I don't recommend this screen over the reincarnated screen or the Dungeons and Dragons Wilderness Adventurers kit or the Dungeon kit with the screen. Those 3 are way better than this one overall. However, this still is useful for some functions and still functions as a Game Master screen. It's just if you find it for more than $20, it's getting a little expensive for just having the added bonus of having a NPC randomized generator and a table for random knickknacks and events. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video or enjoy Dungeons & Dragons, the OSR, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Starfinder, Call of Cthulhu, Octoon Cthulhu, Traveler, Transformers the role-playing game, Shadowrun, or any of those other things, consider subscribing to the channel. I make a point of regularly trying to add new ttrpgs to the rotation on the channel that I show off products for. So if it exists out there and it's not really hard to find, I'll eventually get around to it. So there you go. If you want to, you can go ahead and look back on my channel to either the playlist section, or you can go to the actual video section or the community section. The community section will have a whole bunch of polls there. Go ahead and vote on whatever poll you want to, all the way down to the oldest one if you really want to. On the playlist, I usually try to have playlists for each system that I covered, whether it's from 1 video to 50 videos. And I also have some other topics thrown in there as well. And then if you just want to just randomly roll back through time, and you can always just go over to the video section and just hit oldest and just watch from the oldest or watch from the newest or whichever you want to do. So thank you very much for watching. Have a delightful day, a nice night, a wonderful weekend, a magnificent month. See you next time. Ciao.